First of all, I know that the title of this video might be provocative, and yes, it was intentional, but no, I'm not being disrespectful towards women or towards whoever. I just do it to draw attention, basically, to easily get views. But if you think that I'm being disrespectful, I apologize. I'm sorry, I'm an asshole. You have the right to say that, but I also have the right to say that pulling babies out of vaginas are causing the biggest problems in the universe. Anyway, the point of this title is of course that each newborn baby or each new being that enters this existence is an endless source of problems and potential problems. And the simple reason for that is that we are completely owned by desires. From the moment a newborn living creature enters existence, it already has a ton of wants and needs that are required to maintain its existence. And for the rest of its life, it completely depends upon the need to satisfy its inherent desires. And if those desires are not satisfied, it will start to suffer. And it's the suffering that is the big problem. Life is a constant battle to satisfy all of our wants and needs in order to prevent suffering, in order to prevent problems. So where do problems originate? They originate out of life, out of desires. They originate out of us. They originate out of you and me. Without us, without life, there wouldn't be a single tiny bit of a problem anywhere in the universe. The universe without life is perfectly problem-free. A giant meteor striking the Earth is perfectly problem-free without living sentient beings on it that could be destroyed by this meteor. So, the main reason why we desire to multiply ourselves so much is to solve a part of our own problems. We want to have babies because it satisfies our wants and needs. It satisfies our happiness. It satisfies our economy. It satisfies family care. It satisfies new workforce. It satisfies new ideas. It satisfies our emotions. It satisfies innovation. It satisfies culturalism. It satisfies production. It simply satisfies the problems and desires we are dealing with currently, individually as well as collectively. And therefore we have to give birth to the non-existing problem-free humans, and once they are born as living human beings, they are now enslaved to their own desires, and we kind of force them to clean up the shit that we have created and to satisfy the desires that we desire. I mean, it's already problematic enough to satisfy half of our own desires, and on top of that, we have to deal with an insane amount of other problems in this overpopulated world. It just really bugs me to see people holding up their babies into the air and force us to cry because their babies are victimized by whatever horrible situation. They go like, "Look, what should I do with my baby? In what kind of society will my baby grow up in? What will its future be like? It deserves a nice and a good life. It deserves welfare. It deserves to be loved. It deserves to express whatever it wants to express. It deserves healthy food. It deserves equality. It deserves to be treated with respect. It deserves education, yada yada yada." And we force the governments to take care of all that. Go ahead and fix the needs of my baby. It's your problem, not mine. You are the government. You have the power to change the world. So go ahead and change the world so that my baby can live a justified life. Sure, no problem. Yes, it is a problem. Lots and lots of problems. And if one of those things on this giant list of desires are not satisfied, it's always someone else's fault. Never should you ever blame the parents for having created a new source of desires and problems. No, because a new source of desires and problems is the most beautiful thing in life. Great attitude. The world needs to solve you and your child's problems every single day. Now don't get me wrong, of course your child deserves welfare, happiness, love, education, equality and all that. But you know just as well that you impossibly can't give your child full security for such a world. You as a parent should acknowledge all the potential downsides of this world. You should acknowledge that you are taking a whole bunch of risks by bringing your child into existence. You should acknowledge that we aren't advanced enough to save your child from any possible tragedy. So therefore you should goddamn acknowledge the fact that your child might end up in a horrible situation and that you will be heartbroken because of it. And you should acknowledge the fact that you can't keep blaming the world for that. Sure, you can blame the drunk driver for running over your child, but realistically speaking, in an overpopulated city, we are trying to prevent drivers from drinking alcohol, but it keeps happening again and again. Reckless drivers. So what are you going to do? Forbid alcohol in general? Retract everyone's driver license? Go and try to find a perfect solution and let the government take care of it, and see how many side problems and criticism of other groups you will have to deal with. It's endless. Every solution creates a new problem for someone else. Okay? So you should start to fucking acknowledge that the real problem does not originate out there in the world. No, it originates from you. You are the one who is vulnerable. Your child is the one who is vulnerable. You are the one who forces the world to change in order to satisfy your screaming desires for comfort, love, and happiness. The world is not a place that needs to be solved. You are the one that needs to be solved. And the only way to solve you is to get rid of all your wants and needs and your desires. All of your little addictions. I want love, I want happiness, I want respect, I want ice cream, I want money, I want to change my gender, I want sex, I want a car, I want a career, I want a better world, I want to express myself, I want to lose weight, I want to be smart, I want equality, I want to cure my depression, I want. But the problem is, once you are born, it's impossible to get rid of your desires. So the best thing you can do is trying to be happy with a minimal amount of satisfactions and preventing anyone else from being enslaved to their desires. In other words, giving birth is enslaving someone to their desires, which they didn't desire before they were born. Okay? Before you were born, you did not desire to come into existence. You did not desire to be happy, to be loved, to be respected, to have sex, to be educated, to feed yourself. You did not desire to get rid of your desires. You did not desire to solve a problem because there weren't any. In other words, before you were born, everything was absolutely problem-free. But all of a sudden, you were born and you inevitably became a troublemaker. You are now addicted to your daily desires and satisfactions, and you will cause trouble if you don't get what you want and need. Alright? Now you may disagree with me, and if you do, then I become problematic for you. People who truly disagree with me become frustrated with me, and therefore I am problematic. I become the one who creates frustration within you, and I become the problem that needs to be solved. And I admit it. I admit that I am a problem. I am part of the problem. That's the point of this video. And this is the thing that people don't understand about antinatalism. Even though I consider myself to be an antinatalist, in fact, I openly state right now that antinatalism should be destroyed. How's that? Antinatalism is absolutely counterintuitive. It wants to destroy itself, together with every other type of belief or ideology. Antinatalism doesn't want to survive as the only true belief. No, it wants to die because it knows that every type of belief is basically bullshit. It knows that the only true belief is no belief. And therefore antinatalism must eventually die. But it exists out of necessity. It exists because it's inevitable. That's what happens when the world becomes overpopulated. You give birth to every possible type of people, including the antinatalists. Ta-da! Here we are. If the world wouldn't have been this overpopulated, we probably wouldn't be here complaining about the world. Now, I might stop complaining and trying to convince everybody to stop giving birth, or at least reduce giving birth, but only more antinatalists will rise as a result of giving birth. So in a nutshell, giving birth to someone is giving birth to a source of gazillions of desires that has to be satisfied each second of its life. So expect a lot of trouble, because many of those desires won't be satisfied. Alright, that's it. I'm done. I'm out here. Thanks for listening.